All right, can you guys hear me yet? Can you see me yet? Let's see. All right, it looks like I've got levels. It looks like it says streaming good. So any second now, if you're not seeing me, you should be. Okay, I think, can you see me waving in the background? Blackness, okay. I see the chat preview at least. Let me switch that to blank shot. And then you can all tell me what you see. All right, I'm not seeing it in the control room yet, but it does say live streaming now. It's counting forward. The preview, however, oh wait, do I have to push the play button? Okay, I'm seeing it some of the time. I feel like I'm on a little bit of a delay. So some of you may be, this in fact may be that there's a delay, but hi everyone. Hopefully you're all starting to be able to see this. And the thing is, I can't seem to get the preview window and the chat window in the same window, which makes no sense. Let me go to the watch page. All right. Well, we'll see. So anyway, hi. Hi everyone. Welcome to my office. Here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We had massive thunderstorms here today with hail that was like this big, and it was very exciting. We've had very little rain actually for Massachusetts, so we've been in a bit of a drought. Not like the western U.S. drought, but pretty bad. So it's kind of exciting to be like, yeah, I don't have to water the trees, whatnot like that. Anyway, welcome to the Daron's Guitar Chronicles Book 7 chat. Oh wait, people are texting me already. Hang on. I will turn my cell phone down, but I will in fact put up the information on how you can text me if you would like to ask me questions and you do not want to ask them in the live chat window there alongside the YouTube video. If you would like to text me personally, that's the number. That's my actual phone number. So go ahead and text me. Don't abuse that number. Don't, give it to telemarketers or whatever. But yes, do use it to chat me. Actually, wait, I think I have a better one. This one might be even better. See, because now you can see me and the phone number. How's that? This is fancy. I bought this video production software, so now I feel like I have to use it, right? So, something else just dinged in here. This is the problem with having so many devices, is that often a little chat sound will go off and I'll just be like, what window is that coming from? I have no idea. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. Oh, and then I really should have plugged this in to make my battery work. So what is it with charging cables for my phone ceasing to work? Just every brand I've bought, every, whatever, it's like they just wear out and they just stop. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. But yeah, I had 3 of them die in like one day, which meant that there was a whole day where I was like, I can't charge my phone at all. Like I am going to have to go out and buy something in order to charge my phone. Kind of crazy, but anyway. Wait, I have production notes. My old producer here. Okay, introduction. Hi, we're here to talk about Daron's Guitar Chronicles, Book 7, and Daron in general, and so forth and so on. The Book 7 ebook came out today. And this volume goes from chapter 505 to chapter 584, which takes us basically from the time Daron, basically from the beginning of January 1990, where Daron takes off for Spain, and then him coming back to the United States, in Boston for a while, in New York, in LA, in New York, so forth and so on. Various things happen. Ziggy's movie premiere happens. Bunch of things happen. Anyway, for those of you who may have come to us from Wattpad, the regular Daron's Guitar Chronicles website is ahead of where Wattpad is, and we've been posting every day on Wattpad until we catch up, but we're still behind by like 2 whole books. So warning, there may be spoilers, but I will try not to spoil too much. But please do ask me questions. goes that ding again. That was not my phone. That was like an iPad somewhere in the room. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Or, that was the fairy that just comes and, sprinkles me with fairy dust every so often. Thanks, Tinkerbell. And I need your help. You guys need to tell me which chapter I'm going to read. We talked about this a little bit in the text chat a while ago. I've got 3 choices. One is the Angstfest at the Carlisle Hotel, as we call it, chapter 532, which is the first time Daron sees Ziggy after a long time not seeing him. Chapter 570, I found that essence rare, which is Daron essentially bringing Ziggy back to Remo's house one time in LA, somewhat later, or the Colin Daron bonus scene homecoming. So vote by putting in your comments in the chat there. Don't text these because I won't be able to count them. Put them in the chat and I will attempt to count them. Actually, Chris or Amy, someone, if you could count them as the votes as they come in and let me know. You'll have like a half hour before I'm going to read. I'll probably read 20 minutes from now. I'll do the reading. I want to tell you guys about a contest that we're going to do. Not during this chat. This month, to celebrate the release, I'm going to talk about, I posted about this earlier today, but let me see if I can get this to come up. Put myself to blank. There we go. Got to remember how this. Sorry, I undid my audio there. Anyway, hopefully you saw that there will be prizes, a grand prize, and 5 runners-up. So that will hopefully incentivize people to make things. And I like when people make things. So hopefully you guys that was not silent for that entire time. Tell me in the chat if we are. Anyway, so you guys get to ask me questions. Anything you want to ask. It doesn't have to be about Daron. Anything that's remotely related. Sex, music, bisexuality, writing, etc. Feel free. I did get some questions in advance that people sent me on various social media sites, and so I compiled them. I wanted to say one more thing about this chat, though. I want to give away a tote bag and ebook to someone who asks a question. So there's your incentive to ask me some questions. I'm going to start with one that Bonnie left actually on the Facebook chat page saying, Does Cecilia still play the guitar? And if she does she play Daron's songs? And I have the coolest thing to show you. I just bought a guitar through Kickstarter that is an iPhone guitar controller. So this is called the Jam Stick. And I'm going to get a little further away so you can see how small this is. This is the entire guitar. It's, of course, it's a controller, so you can't really hear anything on it now because it's just a controller. But you connect it to your iPad through, or your iPhone or whatever through Bluetooth. It's got little Bluetooth controls. It's awesome. And it's basically the size of a ukulele, though. And then, of course, I also have the ukulele here, and then I've also got the mini guitar that I built, that Corwin gave me for my birthday. So I've got a lot of little tiny guitars sitting here on my desk because the big one I never get around to picking up. So I do kind of still play, but I've been writing so much lately that there has not been enough time to write and eat and sleep. So there has not been a lot of time for guitar, but I'm hoping there will be soon-ish. Yeah. So, and as far as a lot of Daron's songs, I don't have the skill to play. But who knows? Maybe someday I will. And some of the songs are things that I used to play back when I did play, and then the sounds of them are still in my head, and so they end up, filtering through Daron's point of view. So I don't know, and are they my songs? Are they his songs? I don't know. I don't know how to make that determination exactly. I do compartmentalize really well, but sometimes I'm not sure. The creative engine, it sort of barrels through everyone in a way. So yeah, I don't know. Also in the questions, someone asked, we know Daron identifies as gay, despite or maybe because of his very brief sexual interludes with women. But what about Ziggy? How does Ziggy identify? And Ziggy uses the word bisexual a couple of times so far in the canon, in Daron's Guitar Chronicles. But I would say that, if you asked Ziggy, how does he identify? I think the answer you might get would be something like, Ziggy is Ziggy sexual. Ziggy isn't really keen on labels just because they don't, it's like, he's like, stick a label to me, it's going to peel right off, because nothing sticks to him for very long. And he likes to peel them off and stick them back on in other places, and whatever. I call Ziggy bisexual, because he's, but he's, some people might call that pansexual, and some people might call it omnisexual, and some people might call it, a bunch of different things. But given that, and I don't use the term bisexual as some kind of reinforcement of the gender binary, it's that the mainstream culture separates us into a gender binary, and choosing the word bisexual is to choose that you understand that those categories were created outside of you, and you are accepting that you are breaking that down. I mean, the whole reason to be bisexual is because you're saying, I am not in one of these boxes. You guys made the boxes, not me, but I'm gonna, at least that's how I think Ziggy would probably think of it. And that as far as Ziggy's concerned, the boxes are imaginary, and we're all human, and that where one ends and one begins is, is completely mutable, and love is the thing that mutes it all. So, I think that's one of the things that he learns in India, basically, is that when you go into a meditative state, the physical boundaries cease to exist. So, why should our knowledge of them here, on Earth as, human beings, is yes, we have to eat, sleep, talk, drink, eliminate, etc. But if anything, that just strengthened his understanding that putting labels on people, it doesn't make any sense. Skin color and things like that are so arbitrary, and so, not what he uses to define himself. So, yeah. What else? Okay, I have not looked at this chat in a while. Did you guys? I see you playing peekaboo behind a graphic. Yes, I can. When I put the graphic up, sometimes you can still see me in the background. Oh wait, I had a meme I was going to show. Let me see if I can put up. So the sample meme, one of the ones I made originally was, so when I say meme contest, I mean taking photographs and art and adding quotes from the story to them. So there you go. Haha. Now I can take that one away again. See the this is fun. I like playing with these things, as you might have noticed. But yeah, what would really be great is if I was organized enough to have like a producer, i.e. one other person here who could run the video board, and and I could just sit here. But yeah, it's too much work, right? I just do it myself. It's more fun just me and you guys, and the cats, who, by the way, did walk through during the text chat, and we'll see if Ulan comes back in a little while. He's the one who tends to walk by right here. All right, some other questions. Actually, I wanted to ask: are any of you who are watching the chat right now followers who came from Wattpad, or have you all caught up on the regular website? I mean, I don't mean you have to have caught up on the regular website. I know there's some people who save it and binge it from time to time, or whatnot like that. So don't feel scolded, because that's not the way it works. This is, you guys do what you want to do. Read the way it's fun for you. Whatever way it is that satisfies you. I make no dictations about how you should or should not enjoy Daron's Guitar Chronicles. Read it backwards, forwards, read it over again, read it out loud in the shower, I don't care. As long as you guys are enjoying yourselves, that's the key, right? But anyway, I was curious if anyone's here is a Wattpadder. Please shout out in the chat comments, because I did get some questions from Wattpadders in advance. In fact, this one is from them, and Daron's favorite band or musician of all time. And the funny thing was, we talked about this a little bit in the text chat, did we? Daron's basic take is, I can't answer that with any one. There is no like one band. He's like, if you asked him to give you one from like every year of his life, maybe you'd see that. But even then, he's like, well, I could accept that I can't do this year, so then I probably couldn't do the year before. But various bands have been very influential to him, and when he grew up, he was listening to the Beatles' White Album 800 times. Like, would listen to that over and over and over again. And partly because it encompasses so many different musical styles, and it's like, I know this is the same four musicians playing on every one of these tracks, and yet every song sounds so completely different, and which might be one of the reasons why Daron's music can be so many different things and can sound like so many different things, because he knew early on. I mean, Daron musically is the way Ziggy is about everything else. Is, on the one hand, he thinks, well, I must have this base identity that is my creativity and so forth, and yet at the same time, nobody can figure out what I am or what to do with me. And what's funny is that I only just realized that now. This is the first time I've had that revelation. This is why it's fun to talk with you guys. And that Daron is that way musically. He's not that way socially, but he's the musical chameleon, and Ziggy's the everything else chameleon. So, interesting. Maybe that's something that's going to come into play. Let's see. Question in the side chat: are the quotes for the memes from any chapter? Yes, it can be from any chapter. It doesn't have to be from book 7. But so because it's not like it's specifically just for this book. It's that's the book that's coming out now, and so we're celebrating it. But yeah, the quotes can be from any of the whole of Daron's Guitar Chronicles. So yeah. Let's see, Daniela says, I'm on one of those binges. I'm currently doing a reread. The farthest I got was when Ziggy came out of rehab and Daron was going to pick him up. Wow. The drive from hell, as Daron calls it. Where he what is it? The car runs out of gas, car almost overheats. Yeah, I mean, just, yeah. And it's such a weird landscape out there when you drive towards Palm Springs, where it's like kind of desert, and the the wind farms, and just, it's like it's weirdly desolate, and yet that Hollywood is sort of a stone's throw away, that there's this, super high tech, glitzy, just completely fake world, and then, not that far from there, you just rocks and Joshua trees, and and a lot of nothing. It's sort of interesting. But yes, I have driven from Hollywood to Joshua Tree National Park in the past. Um, and actually, did I answer that question? Darren's favorite band. Yeah, Daron does not have a favorite band. Trying to pick one thing, that's like asking, I don't know, a chef, like, what's your favorite food? It's like, there's so many ways to answer that too, So, um, you know, uh, Daron likes calories in whatever form. Um, Daron likes bands and music, and is an enthusiast about a lot of things. But you know, um, but the other question I had here was, I saw you tweet you're going to Alaska. Does this mean Daron will go to Alaska? Which is a good question, actually, because a lot of the places that Daron goes are places that I have been, and have spent time. And it's partly that it's easier in a way to write about places I've been than to just research them on the internet, um, which can't always happen, obviously. I mean, Daron went on a cross country tour where they stopped at, hundreds of music venues, not hundreds, whatever it was, 64 venues, whatever many dates that tour was, many of which I've never been to. I've never been to, whatever. And many of which have been torn down now. So I couldn't even go now and look at some of these arenas where they played in the 80s and 90s because they're gone. So fortunately, there are so many things that are like people who posted all of their photos to Flickr of, whatever, um, and just, you know, uh, the internet is, I research the weather when they're on tour. I look at the weather every single day for what city they were in on that date in 1989 or whatever it is, to find out, was it hot, was it raining, that kind of stuff. And I figure at some point, sometimes I forget to do it because I'm just wrapped up in the story, but I'm like, one of these days they're going to be, a hurricane or something that's going to affect stuff, because when you're on the road, stuff gets affected. Showbiz is about bringing things out in the world, and that means having to deal with real world logistics like floods and power outages and whatnot like that. And I mean, that's almost a theme of it, I think, in a way, now that I'm looking at it, that that difference between the just sort of raw creativity of like sitting at home or in the studio and writing the songs and whatnot like that. But it's like that's one thing, but then it's like you have to go out there and share it, and it's sort of different. um so that's interesting. um but yeah, so I don't know if Darren's going to go to Alaska. I'm going to go to Alaska next week, and maybe, I don't know. We'll find out. So yeah, a lot of the places that he has been are places that I have been, like Seville and London and LA and so forth. But um, yeah, um, but yeah. So but then there are places that I do just have to research through the internet, where I'm like, it's too important. Um, this thing has to happen at this point, and so okay, I've got to figure out a radio station, you know a bar or whatever, and it is kind of fun, actually, too. Sometimes I just make them up, where I'm just like, okay, but usually I try to go and research an actual place, an actual falafel shop in Philadelphia, or whatever. um is it Pittsburgh where they go to a barbecue joint? There's one where it's like, and it used to be much harder to research these things before the internet. I mean, when I wrote the first draft of the first, 400 chapters, was back in the 90s. It was mostly when I was in grad school and immediately after, and some of the things were like, I when I went to a city, then if I didn't get a chance, I would pick up all the local newspapers, and whatnot. I would pick up, especially like the entertainment papers that would have the ads for what shows were going on and where the dance clubs were and that kind of stuff. So, and then I bring them home and keep them, and I still have some of them. Um, and yeah, and a lot of those places are gone. So, the place that they go to play a gig did they play a gig in Cleveland at Sudsy Malone's? I'm trying to remember. Things like that, which, for those of you who don't know, was a infamous sort of live music and laundromat stop. So one of the perks was that you got free laundry, And what's interesting is that I've been reading a lot of, trade magazines and whatever around now about touring and, whatnot, because I'm writing some rock and roll books that are taking place now for Hachette. I'm doing these rock and roll heterosexual romances, right? The first one's coming out in January. And I'm like, oh, I've got to get up to date on how things are done. And a lot of places, like I read a thing about how the Paradise here in Boston, which is a, long-standing rock club, and put in laundry machines, because one of the things that bands asked about the most when they would play there is, where can we do our laundry? So it's like, perpetual need, so they're like, when they renovated their backstage area and they put in a laundry machine and presumably a dryer. I haven't gone to see it, but it's like, well, that's kind of cool. So, if you're a road manager, you're figuring out where you do laundry and when, and laundry day is a thing. So, I assume that's one thing that hasn't changed. Technology hasn't changed the fact that, your bands get grungy, and their show clothes and their day clothes need to be kept separate, and you need to wash them. I mean, that kind of stuff. So yeah, kind of fascinating. All right, it's coming up on 9:30. So all right, so what did you guys decide? Are we doing chapter 532, which was the Angstfest at the Carlisle Hotel, or are we doing one of the other things? Or was there a tie? So hang on, I'm gonna say about 532. 532. I know there were a couple of 532s from the text chat also. So, all right, let's see. I will see if I can pull it up. All right, of course, now the problem is that I need to pull it up on this screen, and I'm going to be staring at you while I'm reading it. My apologies for the fact that the site has been a little wonky lately, but it's like, first we had a power outage, then we had the disk died in the machine itself, which was a bit of a surprise, But of course, you start getting errors, and you think, oh, well, this is a software thing, and then it turns out, well, the reason the software isn't working right is because the disk isn't writing properly. So, all right. So the setup here. Close your ears if you haven't read this far, or come back in 10 minutes. Let's see. So the last time Daron and Ziggy saw each other, is it over a year since they've seen each other? I think so, right? Because essentially at that last day in New York, they have to cancel the Massachusetts dates because Ziggy falls from the stage, tries to, climbs the amp stack, falls from the stage, ends up committed because they think he's suicidal, ends up in rehab on the West Coast. Daron goes all the way to the West Coast just to be sort of near him, but doesn't actually get to see him because he doesn't know that actually he could have potentially been a visitor or whatever. Digger has said, I'm the designated visitor, right? So, which makes sense. He's his manager, right? Whatever. And in the end, Ziggy nips off to India, but without seeing him, right, and so forth. And then while Ziggy's in India, Daron goes to Spain. Daron's in Spain for 6 to 9 months. Comes back. It's like August, I think. And now he's arrived back. I think Daron's been back in the U.S. for maybe a week, 2 weeks or something at this point. I don't know. His time sense and mine is better than his, but not by much. And they've gone to the movie premiere of, or not the premiere. The premiere took place in L.A. the day before, and now they've gone to a promotional showing of the film that Ziggy was in New York City. Thinking that it's just, it's just like a radio station promo, right? And Jonathan's gotten them tickets through his connections, right? And whatever. And of course, it turns out Ziggy's there, and Daron runs into him in a compromising position with one of the film executives, and has a small freak out in the men's room. Then runs into Tony, who is, Daron and Moondog 3's former security bodyguard, who now works for Ziggy, and who basically tells him, this is the hotel where we're staying in, and, and like tips him off that he's like, I'm taking him back there right now. So everyone else is still at the movie premiere. Digger, the executives, etc. They're, Mills, whatnot, they're all still there. So, and Daron hightails it uptown, to chapter 532. And as it turns out, and Ziggy essentially beckons him to say, come and talk to me, right? So the chapter is called Never Enough. The room was a corner suite. I stepped into the parlor room. The furniture looked like it was someone's grandmother's house. Someone's rich grandmother, I should say. Tony waved me toward the door to the bedroom, which was open. I'll be right outside in the hall, he said in a low voice. I'll knock 3 times if Digger's coming. And then he, very thoughtfully, left the room completely. I stepped into the doorway, my hands jammed into the pockets of my denim jacket, and leaned on the doorframe. Ziggy was lying naked in the middle of a king-sized bed, tangled in the bedclothes, but otherwise naked. His skin was strikingly tan against the white sheets. He had a pillow over his head. I assumed he'd been awake enough to tell Tony it was okay to let me in, right? Tony wouldn't have just sent me in there without warning him first, would he? If Ziggy had fallen back to sleep, I didn't want to wake him. I held my breath, caught between wanting to crawl into bed with him and run away. Far, far away. You tried that already, I reminded myself. So did he. Yet here you are. What if he doesn't want me here, though? What then? He looked like he'd lost weight. I wondered if that was from grief or if he'd gone vegetarian or what. His arm moved sluggishly as he pulled the pillow off his head. I can try to come back later if you're too sleepy, I said. His head turned suddenly and his eyes flew open. Oh shit, you're really... I was dreaming that Tony told me you were here. He did. Oh. Neither of us moved for a while. I was sort of frozen, every sense of mine tingling. I had heard his voice, heard it for the first time in so very long. That voice. God. Coming out of his mouth and not out of the radio. Come here, he said then, very quietly, but I heard him perfectly well. I took a breath, but not a step. Come here, please, he tried, and I found myself gripping the doorframe, not sure if I was holding myself back, or keeping myself from running away, or what. Tears pricked at my eyes, and I was feeling entirely too many things at once. I tried to say his name then, but it came out a whisper. Ziggy struggled to sit up then. I guess it was obvious I wasn't coming any closer. His makeup was a complete mess, and his hair was epic. He blinked as if trying to focus on me. Hey. Hey. I could barely swallow, and my mouth was suddenly crowded with shit I knew I should not say. Who is that on the balcony? Do you have any idea what I've been through? Etc. I groped for something safe to say. Are you all right? Wrong thing. No, I am fucking well not all right, no thanks to you. Maybe there was nothing I could have said. Maybe the powder keg was going to spark no matter what I said. Maybe he had as much right to be angry at me as I did at him. That didn't stop me from answering in kind. Me? No thanks to me? How the fuck is it my fault? I probably wouldn't have been so explosively defensive, of course, if I hadn't feared exactly that. Of course it's all my fault. I didn't tell you to give executive hand jobs at the theater today. Don't you judge me. Don't you dare judge me. And what am I judging exactly? Your choice in men or your choice to act like a fucking whore? Why did I say that? Why? You don't know what it's like. Angry, scared, desperate, hurt. This is what it sounds like. What's like? To have sex with someone other than because I want to? I've never had sex with anyone for a reason other than that. Oh wait, except with one person, you. He started to cry. His tears spilled over quite suddenly, and his chest shook with dry but nearly silent rasps. I wanted to hold him and shake some sense into him at the same time. Everything in my chest was shredded. Heart, lungs, voice. That must have been how he was feeling right then, too. He found his voice first. Well, aren't you lucky, then? Aren't you lucky? He pulled the sheet over his shoulder like he suddenly felt the need to hide his nakedness, and in one of those upended ice bucket down the back moments, I realized what he was implying, that I'd never been the subject of unwanted sexual advances, but he had. As usual, everything turned upside down or inside out in Ziggy's vicinity. I'd meant it the other way around, that I'd never made advances at someone to try to get something from them, but I knew he had. I knew he did. This flip to thinking of Ziggy as sexual victim instead of aggressor, combined with his opening accusation that this was all my fault, I couldn't take it. I couldn't. You're as full of shit as ever. That sparked full-on hysterics. He began throwing pillows at me as he screamed, "So are you! So are you!" What a time for 3 little knocks to come at the door, eh? I pulled the bedroom door closed just as the door from the hallway opened. Something loud hit the door and I jumped back. Ziggy must have moved to throwing things other than pillows. Couldn't really worry about that right then, though, because in came my 2 least favorite people in the world. They looked at me like the feeling was mutual. Angstfest at the Carlisle Hotel. Sorry about that. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry in the slightest. Man, were they really apart for that long? They were. So you knew it wasn't going to be like, "Hi, how are you?" Just play it casual. I mean, even if at first they wanted to try it that way, yeah, no. They're going to try for casual, I think, this next time, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. All right, 9:41. What am I supposed to do? Sorry, I have to look at my schedule here. All right. Okay, has anyone asked me a question yet? Oh no, now I've lost my chat window. Hang on while I find it again. Streaming, no. There you are. Did I use Dirty Laundry as a chapter title yet? I'm not sure I did, actually. Right? I have a little... I've been avoiding Don Henley songs mostly just because Don Henley has been such a jerk about so many things lately. It's like, I avoid Don Henley, and Daron has put a ban on us using any more Morrissey or the Smiths. And honestly, I don't like Morrissey terribly much myself either, but but so many of the songs seem so relevant. Angstfest at the Carlisle Hotel. That could be a Morrissey title, right? So let's see. Is the Alston house based on a real house? It is, actually. It's based on a house where a bunch of musician friends of mine lived, and the area of the town that they live in, Alston is a neighborhood of Boston, and there's Alston and Brighton and a couple of other places, and it's everything's expensive here now, but Alston and Brighton in particular were on the cheaper side in the 90s, especially where a lot of students lived and whatnot like that. So so there's what they call the headbangers ghetto, basically, because it was like where all of the out of work musicians lived, and there used to be walking distance from some clubs like Bunratty's and some places like that are... Bunratty's is a Fern Bar now. So, actually, I don't even know what it is. I'm not sure the Fern Bar even lasted. It's it's a restaurant or something now, but we're having a big turnover again in Boston of live music venues going away. TT the Bears is closing. I just heard that Johnny D's is going to close, but then new places keep opening. Like the Sinclair opened and is great, and there are a bunch of other sort of small rooms, that have come up and whatnot. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. What was the question? So is Alston House a real house? Yes, it is. Although I changed it a little bit. I changed their driveway and some stuff like that. And then I think, and I never went in all the upstairs bedrooms, so that I kind of imagined, but the downstairs layout and whatnot is and how it looks on the outside is pretty much right. I don't know if I could find that house again, honestly, and but if we drove around in Alston, we might find it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know it's a walking distance from what was, Steve's Ice Cream, and which is now, and Faux Pasteur, which is now Lee's. Same restaurant, they just changed its name. But yeah, not that far from the Super 88 Market, which is one of the Asian markets here. Okay, here's one question and one request. Could you do a physical description of Ziggy? Because I had a mental image, then I saw the fan art in the page, and it's like it went away. Okay, so Ziggy is 5'4". He and Daron are exactly the same height. And Ziggy is a sort of this is the thing about Ziggy being a chameleon, is that he's a mutt. I mean, and he is like part Spanish, part Portuguese, part what I've already forgotten all the Armenian. I mean, it's like I can't remember all the things. Partly because his mother is a mutt and his father was also a mutt, so you get this sort of mix, and the result is essentially Ziggy can pass for white. He can pass for half Asian. He can pass for. He's most often mistaken for Hispanic. It's like, um, and is partly Hispanic, but and that's his word, mistaken for, whatever. Ziggy's mistaken for human. I don't know, some of the time. But so he's got sort of almond-shaped eyes, and but yeah, I don't know. I'm like, how do you describe him? But yeah, he's and then the thing is, depending, makeup on, makeup off, hair up, hair down, whatnot, he can look so different that what fans see in photographs and so forth and so on is somewhat different from how he actually looks too. So, and he definitely presents himself as specific ways depending on what effect he's trying to make. So, so it's not a surprise that it's confusing as to what the hell does Ziggy look like, because it's Ziggy looks like what he wants to look like at any given time. So, but yeah, he's a skinny little bundle of energy. um, but but yeah, so. And this is one of those things too, where it's like, he as like I said, he passes for white. He's partly white also. But to a white supremacist, they would look at him and say, "Oh, you're exotic," which is the key word for something else, right? Whether that's Hispanic or mulatto or whatever, right? Or American Indian, kind of a thing. He can pass for American Indian if he tries, right? Natural hair color is black. So, let's see. Question about times. I know Daron's Guitar Chronicles is not a diary exactly, because Daron is telling the stuff after it happened. How much farther ahead of events is Daron at the moment of putting stuff down? Daron is writing from now. He's writing from today. But what happens when he starts writing about the old days is that he sort of goes into flashback and relives and re-experiences stuff in his life. So there's actually sort of 3 layers of Daron's Guitar Chronicles. There's him telling the story. There's him processing the story as he's being forced to remember things, sometimes for the first time in a long time. And then there's that layer of processing too, where he's surprised at what he's thinking about it, or what he thought at the time, and how the two things are different. So it's like there's 3 levels of narration. And I didn't sit down saying, I'm going to write a thing with 3 levels of narration and, whatever. It's just how it came out. It's like he's introspective, and yet there's all this stuff that he's trying not to think about at the same time, which makes for an interesting tension. And, having made the decision to tell the story, he sits down to tell it. It's so funny because I go back to reread those first couple of chapters sometimes, and it's like, and I keep saying to myself, why did you start there? And he says, I had to start somewhere. And he wanted to start from something, and I'm like, why didn't you start from the moment Remo walks into the room, or, whatever, something important, as opposed to, and he's like, I don't know, I just had to start small and work my way up to it, and that it seems to have worked. I mean, I don't know how many people read that chapter 1 and just go, this isn't for me, this isn't interesting, or whatever, and how many people who are hooked by it, I mean, are going to be hooked by the whole thing, I hope. That's always my hope. So, you guys post more questions, because I think I'm out of the ones I previously did. Okay, and we've got 10 minutes left. You guys should at least cook up one more, right? And then I think, let's see, Daniela, Bonnie, Chris, who else asked a question? There was at least one more. Amy had to leave. What's funny about writing so much with the reminiscent narrator, like I do with Daron, is that then trying to go and write in the regular first person past tense is it feels so limiting in a way, because I'm just like, gosh, this character doesn't know what's going to happen to them, you know, and this is the thing, is that Daron gives stuff away, yeah, and you don't realize it, of course, because when he says things that are flash forwards, essentially, you can't tell at the time until you get to the thing. And so then this is why I think some people have fun rereading, because they're like, oh my god, he came right out and said such and such, and then we don't find out till 50 chapters later what he's talking about. Stuff like that. And then there's things that he doesn't realize he has revealed about himself, and whatnot. So it's tremendously fun to write, and I'm not done writing it, obviously. As I've said many times before, I think when we come to the end, we'll all know. But we're not there yet. I know what I was supposed to do. I have an announcement. The announcement is that I've already set the date for book 8 to come out. I know book 7's coming out today, but I felt like we got a little bit behind, and it took a while to get that together. Book 8 I've already scheduled for November 4th, November 15th. Hang on. Of course, do I remember dates? No, I told you my time since November 10th, the Tuesday. Like today is a Tuesday. So I'll be doing a cover reveal soon, with whatever the cover art's going to be, etc. So look for some stuff around that. And like I said, don't forget the meme contest. Can I put those rules back up again? Can I put them up so that you can see them? Hang on, let me see. For some reason, it doesn't want to preview. Oh, why is that? My software is not always as good as I think it is. Okay, hang on. Oh, there it is. Did you get that? Okay, meme contest. It's going on till September 9th. Make your quote arts of things, kind of like this. Quotes can be from anywhere in the story. All the details, just go to ceciliatan.com and you'll see the rules and how to enter, and so forth. And basically, every posting of a meme or quote art, whatever you want to call it, will count as an entry into the prize pack. And the prize package will include a $25 Amazon gift card, a bunch of Daron's Guitar Chronicles swag, a tote bag, books, ebooks, plus physical books, etc. And then 5 runners-up will also get tote bags and some other stuff. And then if it turns out that you've already got the tote bag because you've won something from me before, talk to me and I'll come up with something else. And I still have a couple of t-shirts left and whatnot too, if they're fit your size or whatever, that kind of stuff. And so to do that, do the meme thing. Let's see. Any chance you could kill Digger off in a painful way? I'll volunteer to drive the bus that could hit him. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, maybe death is too good for him. I'd rather he live on in misery. But yeah, I don't know. We have not seen the last of Digger, I'll tell you that much, because he is still entangled in this lawsuit, and whatnot. So if nothing else, there will have to be some confrontations with him later. But yeah, that and some people are like, you're so good at redeeming your terrible characters, and so forth and so on. I'm like, I don't know that Digger is going to have a big redemption. It's sort of, yeah, I don't know. Daniela says, I've never made a meme, but I'll try. Great. There's tools online for resizing art, and there's use Google image search and set the filter on things that are public domain or Creative Commons so that you'll get images that are free to use. You can also search Flickr that way, whatnot like that, where people have put things up that are okay to use, so don't infringe people's copyrights. Here's a question. What year was Daron born? Daron was born in 1968. I keep thinking he was born in 1967. That's the year I was born, and I get it mixed up. I think that he and I got it wrong at some point, and so I think some of the years in the timeline are off by one, but I think they're mostly pretty good. But I think his official birthday is, I think, February 21st, 1968. Is that right? February 21st? And then what's weird is that I think that's also Kurt Cobain's birthday. Complete coincidence. I mean, remember that I started writing all the stuff about Daron long before Kurt Cobain was a thing. So, you know, I might be getting that wrong now, or maybe Kurt was born February 21st, 1967, and that's one of the reasons why, to make sure that I don't get them mixed up. I don't know. Kurt Cobain was not born under a friendly star. Okay, I can't believe that none of you texted me during this entire thing. I guess everybody's been using the chat window. Good job, guys. All right, we've got 4 minutes left on my clock. You guys, the stream is a little bit behind, so you guys will catch up slowly. But we also started 4 minutes late because of my trying to get the stream going. So your last chance to actually text me any questions, anyone who wanted to not appear in the chat window and just wanted to have it appear privately. I've got my phone on. Feel free. Although good job this time, guys, on putting up stuff in advance. So, one from Twitter, one from Facebook, one from, whatnot. All these social media streams, all leading to this little office right here. Kind of almost want to pick up the computer and show you guys more of the office, but it's like, I don't know. It's but it's plugged in, so, and it plugs into an external monitor and stuff too, so I'm like, I have to unplug it. Maybe I'll do a virtual tour of my office at some point for a blog post. I have a lot of interesting erotic art and fan art and, whatnot. My actual desk faces windows that look out over my street, and then in the window sills and whatnot, I have a lot of stuff taped and tacked up and whatnot. And I've just collected a lot of interesting stuff over the years. So, yeah, it's like some Harry Potter fan art that people made from fanfics I wrote, and photographs that, fetish photographers gave me that, when I met them, or, let me pick out of their portfolios and, whatnot like that. Many times I've gone to a convention or whatever, and we've traded, like, I'll trade you a book for a, whatever your thing is, for a CD or for, whatever. Creative people are always like, well, I don't have any money, but I have my thing, and you have your thing, whatever. It's like, you'll be exhibiting next to them, or have the table next to them in a dealer's room or whatever, and you get chatting, and, by the Sunday, you're like, hey, your thing sounds really cool, and I wish here, take one, that kind of thing. Hey, does anybody know what Periscope is? People are talking, Periscope is like live video thing where I don't know, and I'm like, is that the next hot social media thing I need to figure out? But maybe. Maybe it is. All right, so what am I supposed to do here? I need to pick a winner from this chat, right? Okay, so I'm just going to pull all your names. I'm going to put you into, let's see, number you. I'm going to use, you're going to laugh, but I'm going to use the Dice Bag app on my phone, which gives you D20, D4, D, whatever, etc. Let's see, so I need to put 6 of you in, I think, okay. Yep. All right. Is there one that's 6-sided? Of course there's a 6-sided die. That's the normal one, duh. All right. Actually, I can put the sound on so you can hear it go. All right. Number 3, that's Daniela. Daniela, send me a note, or, text me or whatever, and with your email address, or email me at ctan.writer@gmail.com, and I will get your address and whatnot, so we can interface. I can send you some stuff. And I just scrolled past. There we go. All right, I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to put my email address in here so that you can get it easily. Ta-da! Oh gosh, and it's 10 o'clock. Funny how that works. We're out of time. So, all right, we'll do the next one of these in November, you guys, when book 8 will come out. Please remember, write reviews on Amazon. It really, really, really helps to help the sales. It helps bring people to the site. A lot of people read the ebooks and then they end up coming over to the site and becoming fans because they find out they can interact with everyone else and they can read it as it goes along. Some people like that. It's exciting. Yay. What else should I tell you? I don't know. Be excellent to each other. Have fun. I'm really, really glad that you guys have loved Daron as much as I do. So, and you know, may it all continue for years and years and years to come. Perhaps, you know, we'll see. Like I said, when the end comes, we'll know. So, thank you all so much.